Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to Copper Jacket TV. You know, giving you all good news is just never going to get old. And what a stark difference from just 4 years ago, back in 2020, when everything seemed kind of bleak and dark and the political odds were stacked against us. In just the first couple weeks of 2025, we already have multiple bills introduced in Congress to help us overturn some of the government overreach that has been imposed against our Second Amendment rights for so long. And we have a new one that was just introduced yesterday as well. So we're going to talk about that. Let's get to it. Now, real quick, if you're somebody who's watching this video and you have not yet subscribed, consider hitting that subscribe button. It's free, it only takes a second, but it really helps us out here quite a bit, and it helps us spread our message to more and more people, ensuring that channels like ours can stay here for as long as possible. So again, I really appreciate the support, and if you want to support the channel even further, make sure you check out the main sponsor of this channel, which is Attorneys on Retainer. If you're somebody who carries to defend yourself or your loved ones, don't go it alone. Have an attorney in your back pocket by having a membership with Attorneys on Retainer. Check out the link down below for more information. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about what's going on here. Now, before we talk about the new bill that was just introduced, let's just do a really quick recap of what's been introduced so far, because again, just the first 2 weeks of 2025 have been incredible. So in the first 2 weeks alone, we already have a bill for national reciprocity, which is something that I think a lot of people have been asking for, because it would allow you to travel with your permit throughout the country without having to worry about what state recognizes it and what state doesn't. It's not perfect, it's not constitutional, Carrie, but I really do think it's a good first start. We also have the Repeal the NFA Act, which would be phenomenal. I think it's going to be a really hard-fought battle to repeal the NFA, but being that the NFA is one of the worst pieces of gun control that this government has ever imposed on our Second Amendment rights, I think the NFA absolutely has to go. And then we also have another bill to abolish the ATF. That's what a lot of us have been asking for, because that agency has shown time and time again that it can't be trusted with the amount of power that it's been given, and it exceeds its powers fairly frequently, and your dogs are never safe. So again, that's there to get rid of the ATF. And then another one that I thought was kind of interesting here, this is going to be S137, which is basically like an anti-firearms discrimination law, which basically prohibits the federal government from contracting with any company that would discriminate against firearms or ammunition. So contrary to 2020, 2025 is looking significantly better. So with that being said, let's talk about what else was just submitted. Well, we just got HR 404, which is our new Hearing Protection Act. And unlike the last time this was introduced, we actually have a real shot now of removing suppressors and silencers from the NFA and treat them like they should be treated, like hearing protection. Now, we don't have the text for the new Hearing Protection Act quite yet. This is, again, HR 404. So right now, all we have is a title where it says, to amend the Internal Revenue Code of 1968 to remove silencers from the definition of firearms and for other purposes. We can assume that it's going to look similar to what the last Hearing Protection Act looked like. So let's just take a quick look at that. So you can see here from the previous Hearing Protection Act, it's pretty much the exact same thing. This was Senate Bill 401, again, to amend the Internal Revenue Code of 1986 to remove silencers from the definition of firearms and for other purposes. And it goes on to explain what those purposes are and to, remove them from the NFA and get rid of the taxation and the registration and stuff like that. So again, it's just basically another Hearing Protection Act resubmitted, but in a much more friendly Congress. Now, all of this means absolutely nothing if we can't actually get it passed, and that's why when a lot of these bills were introduced over the last 4 years, and a lot of these bills had been previously introduced, nobody really got all that excited over it, because while we knew it had a chance of passing the House, it still would get stopped in a Democrat-controlled Senate, and we knew that it wouldn't go past the Senate. Even if it did get past the Senate, it still has to get signed by the president, and these were completely contrary to what the president was trying to do, which was add more restrictions to the things that we were trying to free up. So there was really no light at the end of the tunnel when these things were submitted before. But now, when we have control of the House, we have control of the Senate, and we have somebody in the White House who says that this is part of their plan to obviously overturn some of these terrible gun control laws that exist, then we actually have a chance of getting these things passed. Now, a lot of this stuff does depend on you. I think that people don't really recognize that we still have a voice when it comes to this stuff. So make sure you reach out to your representative. Make sure you reach out to your senator. Make sure you reach out to the people who represent your state and let them know that you want to see something like this passed, because typically it's pressure from constituents that make this stuff happen. Really, it's not the stuff that you see in the background. It's the pressure from the constituents, because they want to make sure that they get elected and they get their seat, you know, when their next term is up. And if they feel like they're going to make a lot of people angry by not voting for this, then that's when they're going to have action. So again, it requires us still being active and telling our reps, hey, we want to see this thing actually pass. Make sure you put forth your full effort into making that happen. So I'm extremely excited. I mean, I'm really excited, and I'm optimistic and hopeful that we'll see some of this stuff actually pass and get signed by the president and be overturned. So again, we have national reciprocity. We have repeal the NFA. We have the Hearing Protection Act. We have eliminate the ATF. We have all sorts of new bills that have been introduced just in the first couple weeks, and we've barely gotten started. I mean, we're still on the previous we're still on this current administration. The new administration hasn't even taken office yet. So again, there's reasons to be hopeful over the next 4 years that we could be living in the golden age of the Second Amendment. And I just wanted to make a more optimistic video than some of the stuff that we've been making lately with states trying to impose, you know, their gun control on their citizens rather than, you know, on a federal level. So anyway, I wanted to share that with you, and I want to thank you all very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you haven't done so already, hit that like button, that subscribe button, and you guys have a great day.